The way he's cutting bread towards him, he's literally just holding the loaf of bread like this and he's cutting it this way. Like, no wonder you're gonna slice your thumb, you dummy. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, hello. My name is Sadie and I am a makeup artist and I also have a film degree. So today I am starting a new series on my channel called Rate That Makeup. Rate That Makeup is going to be a new series on my channel in which I have asked my boyfriend to compile about 10 or so different clips from different films, and I am going to be rating the makeup in these films. So the fun thing about this series is I have absolutely zero idea what the themes are for each episode, and I have zero idea what clips and which movies or TV shows, it doesn't even have to be movies actually, just like I have no idea what the theme is and I have no idea what I'm going to see. So my reactions to all of these are completely authentic because I told him I want to know absolutely nothing before going into this. I have him here with me. I might sometimes ask him questions or give him commentary, but for the most part, I am going to have him just play the films or play the clips that I have right here on the computer in front of me, and yeah, we're just gonna go from there. Ugh, what a creeper, but also who sleeps like that? Oh. The first guy, what the f? Super, this just reminds me of like the super emo phase in high school type of makeup, where the eyeliner is just all the way out to here. You can tell that he's just wearing probably red lipstick. It's in black and white. Yeah, so 1920, they didn't have black and white makeup. Like they didn't have grays and stuff. They just had like the natural makeup, and they had like berries to color. So they had like red, sometimes like a little bit of like pink, sometimes a little bit darker, more of like the purples, but they didn't have black and white, so. I love these reaction shots. You can tell that he is not an old man. His wrinkles are painted on to his face, and you can tell that they just kind of, like they did a lot of shading up here on his orbital bone. They did some really harsh shading here. They gave him like, so you have like the nostril, but then you also have like super white like highlight right here. And you can tell that they like kind of made like this second bone right here on his nose, that there's like like an indentation right here, like the shadow, but then you have another bone, and then you have the cartilage, which is interesting because like we don't have bones right there in our, like a second, like it's almost like a collarbone that is like on the nose. I think the scale is probably going to evolve as the series does, but for right now, I feel like we should do Caligari gets 2 Frankensteins. Okay, so Frankenstein is actually one of my favorite like classic horror films in terms of makeup. They did his makeup before they had foam and silicone and latex prosthetics. All of the indentations in his scarring and the shape of his head and everything was filmed with clay, which I think is really interesting because they did so well with blending those edges and making it seem like it was literally a part of his head, like you can't see any of the seams, which is really hard to do. I've tried to do things with clay and it's really hard. In the scene where he's like lifting his arms up towards the ceiling, you can see all of like the scarring on his arms and everything. And you can tell that all of that is just painted on, but it still looks as though there was a scar. So they have 2 different types of scarring on his arms. They have like the cut that seems a little bit more fresh, where it's like keloid over and it's like raised. And then the other ones are like just like the indents where you can see that the skin had kind of like healed inward. So I'm gonna give Frankenstein a 5 Frankenstein out of 5 Frankensteins.
It's alive! It's alive!
What? So obviously you have Nosferatu himself, where he has the really big nose and he has the pointy ears and the insane eyebrows. My God. Okay, so first of all, I know Nosferatu is not a comedy movie. Do you mind? I've always thought it was so funny because it's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. He has a lot of shading on his eyes as well to make it seem as though his eyes are a little bit more sunken in, and you can see he has like really harsh contour on his jaw and like his cheekbone as well, like especially like under his orbital. So you can definitely tell that they're trying to make him look very like sickly and like very sunken in, which I feel like it does work, especially since they enhanced his nose and his chin and his ears, I believe with prosthetics of some sort. His bald cap bothers me because you can see there's so many bumps in his bald cap that you can tell that they did not like smooth his hair underneath it. But the fact that they even got a bald cap is pretty impressive. Bald caps are hard. I'm gonna give it a 3 Frankenstein. 3 Frankensteins.
Very well. I have chartered a ship. Take us to England.
So he's the first one where you can't really tell what makeup he's wearing other than darkened eyebrows. His skin and his facial features, you can tell all of that's him. And I've never seen this movie. Yeah, so Dracula is really interesting to me because, at least in this specific scene, you can tell that all of that, they didn't enhance his face in any way other than they darkened his eyebrows. They probably darkened his hair too, like they slicked it back and they probably did that with paint, but besides the hair, I don't think that they enhanced his face in any other way. It doesn't look like they added any sort of textures or wrinkles. It doesn't look like they added any sort of depth. His reactions are still kind of very dramatic, but makeup-wise, this is not dramatic at all.
Future Sadie here, cutting in for just 1 second. I realized that I forgot to actually give a rating for Dracula. In this clip, I was talking about how I was so distracted about the fact that there really wasn't that much makeup that I forgot to actually rate the makeup. So because I do think there was makeup, I don't want to give it a 0. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 1 Frankenstein because I just don't know what makeup there was, honestly. So Emma agrees. 1 Frankenstein, and Future Sadie's out. Back to the program.
Oh, he hairy. Brought to you by our sponsor, Dollar Shave Club. So the first little bit of makeup that you see in this is he pulls his pant leg up and he has hair starting to grow on his legs, which is really interesting because I feel like I never realized that the Wolfman's hair starts from his feet and works its way up. Usually that's not how werewolf hair works. But I also just kind of already know this fact. That's not makeup. Those are actually slippers that they use, that they created. So the first little bit was adding hair. So it went from makeup to slippers. So it's hard to rate that makeup because it's slippers. The rest of his werewolf face, it's really good. It's all pretty much covered. There's makeup on all of it. So you can tell that they kind of just brought the wig down to cover up his eyebrows and just like fill in all of this area with hair. They also used a lot of they use like the beard down here, and you can tell that they kind of like painted on to kind of, I think this is actually, they actually used hair laying techniques with this. So they cut the loose hair and then they actually glued it on to make it look like it's growing out of his face. His nose piece, you can see, I can see a little bit of the edges around here, like around this area. So you can tell that this is a prosthetic and this is latex. It's very shiny. I'm gonna go with 4. I'm gonna go with 4 Frankensteins. It was pretty good. He was fully covered. They did choose to do the close-up on his feet from transitioning from hair to slippers. I still don't like the makeup, but okay, so 1911 though. A lot of these makeups in here were still very dramatic. So first, right off the bat, you have the guy who is laying on the rock, who I thought maybe was like Poseidon or some kind of mermaid almost, because it's like it seems like it's like an ocean scene. And you just have this piece of rubber that is very clearly just kind of like put on his head with the little horns. Because his ears are super white, all of the indentations and like the crevices of his fingers and everything are white. You can tell that he's just painted darker. So that's, to me, that's very distracting. I don't notice anything about the makeup other than rubber, horns, and black. It's me when I find snacks. This guy, his eyebrows, he has more hair on his eyebrows than I think I have on my legs. If I were to never shave my legs ever again, this dude would still have more hair on his eyebrows. You can tell that all of the holes in his face, any of the folds, creases, whatever, are enhanced by shadow. His horns are kind of cool. You can't really see much of them because it just kind of blends into his hair, but they're kind of cool. I feel like I have to do like a 2 Frankenstein. Maybe a 3 because of the time. I'm having a hard time getting over the painting them darker, even though I know that wasn't their intention. Okay, so I know exactly how they did that, and it's so uncomfortable because I did it in makeup school. So right off the bat, you have a cat, which love that. That's obviously 5 Frankensteins. The mummy, you can definitely tell that there's a lot of texture that is emphasized on his face, like very deep face wrinkles. And the fact that you can see the wrinkles up here and even like all in this area that usually stays really smooth shows, it really ages him. It really helps age him. So this close-up scene where you can see every single little tiny wrinkle and texture in his face. I know how uncomfortable this was for the actor. So you have to hold a piece of skin really, 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 really tight and completely flat. Here, I can actually like show on my hand. So like, stipple a lot of latex on, let it dry. Stipple a lot of latex on, let it dry, probably about anywhere between 7 to 10 times. And then that way when you go like this, after it's completely dry, because it would have dried in a flat state, when you release the tightness of the skin, it emphasizes the natural folds and wrinkles of your skin. Although I don't know that I really see Mummy. They didn't do anything with his teeth or with his mouth, and that's one of the very common things that you see in mummies is decay in their mouth. So that kind of bothers me. Like, other than the fact that I know how to do this makeup, I don't know that I could tell what he is other than extremely old. I'm gonna go with a 3. I'm gonna go with a 3 Frankenstein. Cast not included.
You're the octopus. You're right, Mr.
Oh. Ooh.
I have a pair of arms.
She does have a lot of discoloration in her face, which I know can happen when your body has been submerged in water for long periods of time, especially if you drowned that way. So okay, I can actually see a little bit of maybe ocean, like water damage of some sort, like some resemblance of water. Her eyes seem very glossy and her hair seems slicked back and like wet and like long and stringy, maybe a little bit of greasy.
What about that seamless transition though?
That was really good. That was cool. The editing in that was really cool. That wasn't a makeup transition, that was...
So they used a polarizer filter.
But how did they do that?
Because it's already on, it's kind of like it rotates and it activates the filter.
What? That's cool. Because it even emphasizes all of the texture and everything. That's a 6 Frankenstein.
Ooh.
Artist turn. We're clear. Stand by to pull her up with the winch. Pull her in.
Yeah, that's all just a suit. That's all rubber. That ain't makeup. I love the movie, but I can't be biased. That's a 0 Frankenstein. Because the costume is cool, but it's not makeup. It's just costume.
No love.
She's alive! Alive!
Oh, she got curves. Her makeup is really good too. It's very simple. It's way more simple than Frankenstein's is. Well, Frankenstein's monster. Because she has really nice smooth skin and her scars just make it seem like she was kind of stitched together, almost like Sally. Same colors, not different colors like Sally, but it looks like she's just kind of like a rag doll, just like that's stitched together. It looks like they gave her new eyebrows and they probably emphasized her nose contour just a little bit, but although I feel like this could more be the daughter of Frankenstein with how much younger than him she looks. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
The Bride of Frankenstein.
Future Sadie here again with another rating that I forgot to do. Oops. So Bride of Frankenstein. So I did mention that her makeup was very, you know, simple. She did look a lot younger than Frankenstein's monster, but I still really liked how simple the makeup was, and I liked her scars, how it basically made her have like a really snatched jaw. So I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna go with a 4 Frankenstein. 4 whole Frankensteins and his bride.
Her green makeup is really, really cool. I think that because they were still new to the world of color, they really didn't do too much contouring or any emphasis on her bone structures. It's just like green. They gave her nails. They were thorough with it. They painted all of the skin that you can see green, her hands as well, and her ears. It looks like they brought it down her neck a little bit as well. And her eyebrows match her hair, which is interesting. I feel like I would have liked to have seen a little bit more detail, especially if you have the choice of color. I understand going with green because you can actually see the green. I still feel like I wish they had more details that you can do with color besides just flat green. I'm gonna give it a 2. 2 bonus Frankensteins. So that's all we have for you today for the first episode. I really enjoyed this. This was really fun getting to see clips that I haven't seen before, and even with some of these movies that I had already seen. If you enjoyed watching this episode as much as I enjoyed reacting to these clips, and I'm sure as much as Andrew enjoyed finding all of these clips for us, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe as well as hit the notification bell because, like I said, this is a series and this is the very first episode, which means that you can expect, I'm not sure how many more episodes we're doing in this season, but at least several more because this is really fun. I actually really enjoyed this. And until next time, stay spooky. Bye!